Hello, everyone, and welcome to Angel's Laugh, Masterclass in Serial Screenwriting. This course is based on the book Angel's Laugh by Stefan Afshar, and across 30 lessons will explore the art and craft of writing serialized television drama. Today is our very first session. In this lesson, you'll learn what a high concept is, why it's essential for any successful TV series, and how the premise of the trial of God in human court can serve as the foundation for a gripping pilot episode and multi-season arc. Angel's Laugh, a darkly humorous look at the trial of God in human court. Angel's Laugh, a darkly humorous look at the trial of God in human court. This is a great title for a book that explores the themes of faith, justice, and the human condition with a dark and humorous twist. Here are some of the things I like about this title. It is catchy and memorable. The phrase Angel's Laugh is sure to pique the reader's curiosity and make them want to learn more about the book. It is accurately descriptive. The title clearly conveys the book's subject matter, which is a trial of God in a human court. It is intriguing and thought-provoking. The use of dark humor suggests that the book will take a non-traditional and perhaps even irreverent look at these serious topics. It is unique and original. I have not come across any other books with this title, so it is sure to stand out from the crowd. Overall, I think this is an excellent title for a book that is sure to be both entertaining and thought-provoking. Here are some additional thoughts. The title could also be interpreted as a commentary on the human tendency to find humor in even the most serious situations. The use of the word angels suggests that the book will explore the role of religion and faith in the human experience. The title is sure to generate discussion and debate, which could help to increase the book's visibility and readership. I hope you are happy with this title choice. Stefan Afshar, step into a world without expectations. Tired of those long, detailed table of contents that spoil all the surprises? This time, we offer you a different experience, a book with no table of contents at all. We've intentionally omitted the table of contents to allow you to enter the story with a completely open mind and no preconceived notions. We want you to unwrap each chapter like a gift, experiencing the thrill of the unknown. This book is a journey where you'll grow alongside the characters, feel their sorrows, and celebrate their triumphs. There's no roadmap to guide you, so prepare for an unexpected adventure. Are you brave enough to take the risk? The day of the press conference. The day of the press conference was a watershed moment in human history. The grand hall, adorned with ancient symbols of justice, was packed to the brim with journalists, religious leaders, philosophers, concerned citizens from all corners of the globe. The air was thick with anticipation and a palpable sense of unease. As the prosecutor stepped onto the podium, a hush fell over the room. With a determined look, they presented a meticulously crafted indictment against the divine. The charges were grave: crimes against humanity, negligence, and a willful disregard for suffering. The prosecutor methodically laid out their case, citing centuries of human history as evidence of divine indifference. The ensuing debate was nothing short of chaotic. Religious leaders vehemently denounced the proceedings as blasphemous, arguing that questioning the divine was an affront to faith and morality. Philosophers engaged in deep discussions about the nature of existence, the problem of evil, and the limits of human understanding. Scientists presented evidence from various fields, from cosmology to biology, to support or refute the claims made against the divine. Politicians weighed in on the potential consequences of such a trial, warning of the risk of societal unrest and international conflict. The press conference sparked a global firestorm. News of the trial spread rapidly through traditional and social media, igniting passionate debates and protests in cities around the world. The Vatican's counterattack and a global divide. The Vatican's response to the prosecutor's announcement was swift and decisive. In a televised address that reached billions worldwide, the The Pope condemned the trial as a blasphemous attack on the faith of billions. He declared the prosecutor a servant of Satan and called upon all Catholics to rise up against this affront to God. The Pope's words ignited a global firestorm. Catholics around the world rallied to their faith, organizing massive protests and demonstrations against the trial. Churches were filled to capacity, and the faithful prayed for divine intervention. The Vatican issued a formal edict excommunicating the prosecutor and all those who supported the trial, a move that further inflamed passions. Consequences of the Vatican's response. Deepening global divide. The world was further polarized between those who believed in the divine and those who sought a more secular worldview. Religious extremism. The conflict between the Vatican and the secular authorities led to a rise in religious extremism as both sides became increasingly entrenched in their positions. Political instability. Many nations faced internal strife as religious and secular factions clashed. In some countries, this led to civil war and the collapse of governments. Economic disruption. The global economy suffered as trade and investment were disrupted by the unrest. Technological advancements. The conflict sparked a new wave of scientific and technological advancements as people sought to find ways to prove or disprove the existence of God. A world divided. The world had become a powder keg, with tensions rising between religious and secular factions. The conflict had spilled over into countless battlegrounds, from the bustling metropolises of Europe to the ancient cities of the Middle East. The once clear lines between nations had blurred, as alliances shifted and new enemies emerged. Technological arms race. As the conflict escalated, nations poured resources into developing advanced weaponry and surveillance technologies. Autonomous drones, AI-powered weapons, and biological agents became commonplace on the battlefield. The race for technological supremacy threatened to unleash forces that could not be controlled. Amidst the chaos, a new world order began to emerge. Regional powers, such as China and Russia, stepped into the void left by the decline of traditional superpowers. New alliances were formed, based on shared interests rather than ideology. The search for peace. Despite the widespread violence, there were still those who yearned for peace. A small but growing movement of peace activists and religious leaders sought to bridge the divide between the warring factions. They organized interfaith dialogues, humanitarian aid missions, and grassroots peace initiatives. Official announcement from the Ministry of Justice. Following the recent publication of news and rumors regarding the indictment, of name of the highest-ranking entity and the commencement of legal proceedings, the public is hereby informed that this case is now under judicial review and all. Legal procedures are being carried out in accordance with the current laws of the country. Given the significance of this matter and in order to ensure transparency and prevent any misuse, the Ministry of Justice declares that the esteemed accused, name of the highest-ranking entity, represented by their legal counsel, is fully prepared to appear in court on the day of the hearing to present their defense. All citizens are hereby requested to refrain from making any statements or taking any actions that may disturb the public order until a final decision is rendered by the judiciary. The Ministry of Justice, while emphasizing the principle of innocence until proven guilty, assures the public that justice will be served fully in this case, as in all other cases. Date of issuance of the announcement, signature of the Minister of Justice or the Ministry of Justice spokesperson. The character of an anonymous defense attorney is an intriguing blend of mystery, legal facts, and technology. This character, due to the nature of their work defending clients in court, is shrouded in a veil of ambiguity. However, when this ambiguity is coupled with the relentless efforts of the media, the public, and even hackers to uncover their identity, it becomes a mystery that doubles the story's appeal. Confidential agreement, the foundation of anonymity. The first key element in this characterization is the Screenwriting Masterclass, analyzing Angel's Laugh for television. Good morning, class. Today we're looking at a piece of provocative source material. Angels Laugh, a Darkly Humorous. Look at the Trial of God in Human Court by the pseudonymous author Stefan Afshar. Our goal is to dissect this content and determine its viability and structural needs for a long-form television series. An analysis of the core concept and themes. The central premise, the Trial of God in a Human Court, is a phenomenal hook. It's inherently dramatic, high concept, and immediately taps into universal themes of faith, suffering, and justice. A. The logline and genre. The title and subtitle already define a key element: darkly humorous, satirical. This suggests the genre is a blend, likely legal drama, satire, philosophical, sci-fi, fantasy. Strength. The dark humor allows for sophisticated social commentary. It avoids being purely preachy or purely cynical. It gives the show a distinct tone, a crucial element for marketing and audience retention. Challenge. Maintaining the balance between the serious philosophical questions, the problem of evil, divine negligence, and the dark humor will be the most difficult writing task. If it leans too far into satire, it loses stakes. Too far into drama, it loses its unique voice. B. Themes. The text explicitly lays out the major thematic drivers. The problem of evil, divine indifference, the core charge against God. Faith versus secularism, the global divide ignited by the trial. The nature of justice. Can a human system judge the ultimate power? Consequences of belief, how faith and opposition to it shape world politics and conflict. 2. Dissecting the narrative structure and world building. The provided text gives us an excellent pilot episode setup and the series arc premise. A. The pilot episode, the day of the press conference. The initial excerpt functions perfectly as the inciting incident and the core setup for a pilot. Setup: a world with simmering tension, perhaps a rising tide of secular frustration. Inciting incident: the prosecutor presents the indictment. This is the moment the world changes. Conflict: the ensuing chaos, the debate between religious leaders, philosophers, scientists, and politicians. Climax: the Vatican's immediate, fiery counterattack, the excommunication, and the global protests. The pilot's focus: introducing our core characters, the prosecutor, the Pope's representative, the lead defense counsel, a cynical journalist, etc., and establishing the stakes of the trial, which are global and existential. B. The series arc, a world divided. The latter part of the text sets up the high-stakes, long-term narrative for the entire series, the consequence engine. High stakes. The trial is not just a courtroom drama. It's a catalyst for global collapse. The consequences: deepening global divide, religious extremism, political instability, economic disruption provide an endless source of A plots, the main trial, and B plots, the world outside the courtroom, spin-off potential, the technological arms race and new world order. Elements hint at a potential shift in later seasons, moving from legal drama to a broader geopolitical thriller. The search for peace. This small detail introduces the necessary hope element and potential moral center for the series, embodied by a group of peace activists or a character desperately seeking common ground. D. Screenwriting challenges and opportunities. A character, the missing element. The biggest omission in the source material is the protagonist. We have a prosecutor, but they are currently an archetype, not a character. For TV, we need to know the prosecutor. What drives them personally? A specific tragedy? A crisis of faith? Why risk their life for this impossible case? This is our viewpoint character in the courtroom. The defense counsel. Who defends God? An atheist lawyer, ironically? A charismatic former priest? A human avatar representing the divine? This creates essential dramatic foil. God, the defendant. How is God represented? Does God show up? A physical presence? A symbolic empty chair? A series of shifting human-like avatars? This is a crucial, high-risk creative choice that defines the series. D, the legal structure, the weekly arc. A series can't simply be one long, endless trial. We need episodic structure. Opportunity. The trial must proceed with specific charges, witnesses each week. Episode 2, the charge of negligence, the plagues. Witness, a historical disease specialist. Episode 3, the charge of cruelty, natural disasters. Witness, a survivor. Episode 4, the defenses. Counter, free will. Witness, a philosophical ethicist. The verdict, the final verdict. Of the trial should not be the series finale, but likely the season finale of season 1 or 2. The rest of the series, then, deals with the far-reaching, real-world consequences of that verdict. Ivy. Conclusion and homework. Angel's Laugh is not just a premise. It's a global event waiting to be televised. It has a clear tone, enormous stakes, and a built-in mechanism for conflict. Your assignment for next week is a 3-part exercise. Character pitch. Develop 3 distinct, 3-dimensional character concepts: the prosecutor, the defense counsel, and the series' main philosophical antagonist, a religious zealot or a powerful global politician. Give them specific backstories and flaws. The God choice. Write a 1-paragraph justification for how God should be represented in the courtroom, e.g., an empty seat, a mute child, an AI interface. The first witness. Outline the first witness to be called against. God after the press conference. What is their charge? And what personal stakes do they have in the testimony? This will move us from the concept phase into the crucial character and story, engine phase of screenwriting. Any questions? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first session of our Screenwriting for Television series course. I'm thrilled to have you here. Over the next 30 sessions, we're going to dive deep into the craft of writing compelling, marketable, and impactful television series. Today, we're starting with an exercise in deconstruction and conceptualization. Using this fascinating text you've been given, which seems to be an excerpt from or a pitch for a book titled Angel's Laugh, a darkly humorous look at the trial of God in human court. Take a look at this text. It's a goldmine of ideas for a television series. Our first lesson is this: a great concept is the foundation of a great series. Lesson 1. Deconstructing a high-concept premise. A high concept is an idea that can be easily pitched in a few sentences, is instantly intriguing, and has significant built-in conflict and scale. This book concept, The Trial of God in Human Court, is a phenomenal high concept. Let's break down the elements we can steal and adapt for a TV series pitch. The core logline. What is it? A logline is a 1 or 2-sentence summary of your story that includes the protagonist, the conflict, and the stakes. Book logline. A darkly humorous novel about the unprecedented trial of God in a human court, sparking a global divide and an existential crisis. Series logline. Draft 1. When a determined prosecutor brings a case against the divine for crimes against humanity, the world is plunged into religious fervor, secular revolt, and a catastrophic geopolitical crisis. To the genre and tone, how does it feel? The book explicitly uses the terms darkly humorous, satirical, and intriguing, thought-provoking. This gives us a clear tonal mandate. Genre, philosophical sci-fi, political thriller, satire. It needs to balance the gravitas of the subject with the humor and irreverence implied by Angel's Laugh. TV series. Tone. Think of the political intrigue of House of Cards, the philosophical scope of The Leftovers, and the dark satire of Veep, but on a global scale. The humor would likely come from the absurdity of the legal proceedings and the pettiness of the human reactions to the divine. Lesson 2. Conceptualizing the series architecture. A book can be a self-contained story. A TV series needs legs. It needs to sustain multiple seasons. This concept easily supports a multi-season arc. The protagonist and the conflict. In a series, we need a compelling human anchor. The text mentions a single prosecutor. This person is our main protagonist. Protagonist, the prosecutor. What is their personal motivation? Not just abstract justice, but a loss, a trauma, or a crisis of faith caused by a specific tragedy. This makes the cosmic conflict personal. Antagonist. The text gives us the Vatican, the Pope, as a primary human antagonist, leading the counterattack. This is the secular versus religious conflict made concrete through compelling characters. The God problem. How do you put God on trial? Is God represented by a defense counsel? Does God send an emissary? This is a massive writing challenge that creates endless dramatic potential. Perhaps the defense is a brilliant, cynical lawyer who doesn't even believe in God, but is arguing on principle. Mapping the season arcs, the consequences as a roadmap. The text provides a fantastic structure for multiple seasons in the consequences of the Vatican's response and a world divided sections. Text element, proposed season arc, key conflict. The trial and Vatican counterattack. Season 1, the indictment. Focuses on the legal drama, the prosecutor's case, and the initial global shock. Ends with the excommunication and the world splitting. Deepening global divide and political instability. Season 2, Holy War, Civil Strife. The localized conflicts, civil wars, governments collapsing in different regions. Focus on different characters dealing with the societal breakdown. The stakes are societal, technological arms race and new world order. Season 3, the secular response. Nations pivot to technology to fill the void left by faith. The rise of AI-powered surveillance and the new world order. China, Russia rising. The stakes are geopolitical. The search for peace. Season 4, redemption, reconciliation. Focus on the peace movement and the final verdict, or lack thereof. Can humanity heal itself without the divine structure? Lesson 3, the hook, the pilot, and the world building. The pilot episode, the hook. The text starts with the day of the press conference. This is a perfect, inciting incident for a pilot. Plot, the trial. The prosecutor delivers the indictment. We see the world's reaction in real time. The episode ends with the Pope's counterattack, a massive cliffhanger. Plot, the personal. Introduce the prosecutor's life, their family, their secret, the reason they took this impossible case. This grounds the cosmic conflict in human emotion. World-building nuances. The best TV series show us the specific effects of a massive event. The text gives us clues. Legal setting. We need a specific, grand location for the trial. The grand hall adorned with ancient symbols of justice needs to be visualized, e.g., The Hague, an emergency session at the UN, or a newly built global justice center. Global reactions. The series must cut quickly between diverse locations to show the global divide. A family in the US watching the news, a priest in Rome receiving the edict, a military leader in China reacting to the political instability. The humor. Where does the dark humor come from? The human elements, the pompous, the audience cares about. The pilot's 3 essential questions. Who is our POV character? Whose eyes do we see this world through? What is the A-plot? The main conflict of this episode. What is the cliffhanger? the immediate threat that ends the pilot and compels viewing of episode 2. Screenwriting exercise, character and conflict anchors, 45 minds. Your assignment: draft a high-concept pilot synopsis. Working individually or in small groups, depending on class size, you must draft a 1-page synopsis. For the pilot episode of the TV series Angels Laugh. Key requirements: choose your protagonist, our anchor. The global conflict is too vast for one person. You must choose one primary protagonist and define their personal stake in this trial. Option A, the prosecutor. A brilliant but emotionally detached legal mind. Personal stake. Did they lose someone to a tragedy they attribute to divine indifference? Are they driven by a need for existential justice? Option B, the Vatican insider. A young, morally conflicted priest or cardinal. Personal stake. They must defend the church publicly, but their personal faith is shaken by the charges. Option C, the witness. A regular person called to testify. Personal stake. Their testimony centers on a specific, personal tragedy that exemplifies the crimes against humanity charge. Define the A-plot of the pilot. The pilot cannot resolve the trial of God. It must be about the pre-trial chaos. Write a central conflict for the episode. Example A, legal thriller. The protagonist, prosecutor, must race against time to secure the testimony of a crucial, protected witness before the Vatican's network can silence them. Example B, political drama. The protagonist, insider, is tasked with organizing the Vatican's global counter-protest, but discovers a secret that undermines the Pope's public stance. The pilot's final scene and cliffhanger. Describe the final 2 minutes of the episode. What is the shocking revelation or immediate, unavoidable threat that ensures the audience tunes in next week? This should tie directly into the consequences of the Vatican's response listed in the text. Global divide, extremism, instability. Deliverable. A 1-page synopsis with the following 3 headings. Protagonist, name, role, personal stake. Pilot A-plot, the central conflict of this episode. Final scene and cliffhanger. You have 45 minutes. Focus on clear, dramatic choices that elevate the core concept. Screenwriting Masterclass, lessons from Breaking Bad. Analyzing conflict, subtext, and scene construction. Introduction. When we talk about great television, Breaking Bad, AMC, 2008 to 2013, consistently ranks among the most influential and meticulously written dramas of the last 2 decades. Created by Vince Gilligan, the show is often praised for its long-term character arcs, visual storytelling, and thematic consistency. But for screenwriters, the real treasure lies in its scene construction. The show's power does not rely on action sequences or extravagant settings. Instead, it thrives on small, everyday moments loaded with conflict and subtext. A man folding laundry, pumping gas, or washing cars becomes a stage for existential drama. This transformation of the mundane into the profound is what every aspiring screenwriter must learn. In this analysis, we'll dissect one scene, from the pilot episode, and break down the essential screenwriting lessons it provides. We'll then expand into a creative exercise where you, as a writer, will rewrite the scene in new genres and perspectives. The scene: Walter White at the car wash. Context: Walter White, a gifted but underpaid high school chemistry teacher, works a humiliating second job at a car wash to support his family. The pilot episode introduces him as an everyman crushed by financial strain, social invisibility, and unfulfilled potential. The scene itself: Walter, still in his green apron, is commanded by his boss to clean cars in full view of the public. A group of his own students drive through and see him washing tires, laughing at the irony that their teacher, a man of science, is performing manual labor for minimum wage. Breaking it down, Cena situation. At the most superficial level, this is a man working at a car wash. But beneath that, the situation is carefully designed to dramatize Walter's internal wound. He is invisible, undervalued, and disrespected. Screenwriting principle. A scene should never be about only what we literally see. Washing a car is not the scene. Humiliation is the scene. 2. Conflict. Conflict is the heartbeat of drama. Here, the conflict operates on several levels. External conflict. Walter versus his boss, who orders him around. Social conflict. Walter versus his students, who ridicule him. Internal conflict. Walter versus his own pride. He wants to maintain dignity but cannot escape the humiliation. Notice how layered this conflict is. A lesser writer might have shown Walter struggling to pay bills or arguing with his wife about money. Instead, Gilligan dramatizes his struggles through a simple but loaded scenario. 3. Dialogue. Dialogue in this scene is minimal, almost functional. The boss says on Walter out front, tires. That's it. Short, clipped, demeaning. The genius lies in what is not said. Walter does not protest. He does not deliver a monologue about his worth. His silence says more than words could. This restraint is crucial in screenwriting. Often the most powerful lines are the ones left unsaid. Subtext. Subtext is the lifeblood of great screenwriting. It is the invisible current beneath the words. On the surface, a boss gives an employee a task. Beneath the surface, a man's dignity is being dismantled. When Walter steps outside with a sponge in hand, the audience feels the crushing weight of years of repression. His pride, intelligence, and identity are all in conflict with his visible reality. Why this scene works. This scene encapsulates the entire premise of Breaking Bad in under 3 minutes. The theme of humiliation leading to transformation is embedded here. By showing Walter as a man already broken bad in spirit, the eventual decision to become a meth, Kingpin feels not only believable but inevitable. For writers, this is a lesson. The DNA of your entire story should be present in your pilot. Not through exposition, but through scenes where character, conflict, and theme collide. The writing exercise, rewriting the scene. To master this technique, you need to break down and reimagine it. Here are 3 variations. Exercise A. Change the genre. Take the same setup, Walter. White working a demeaning job, and rewrite it as a comedy or a horror scene. Comedy version, instead of a car wash, Walter is a clown at a children's birthday party. His students show up unexpectedly. The humiliation remains, but the tone shifts. Horror version. Walter works night shifts at a morgue, cleaning corpses. A student sneaks in on a dare and sees him. The grotesque environment heightens the sense of degradation. Lesson: conflict is portable. Strong scene skeleton can survive genre changes while retaining its core function. Exercise B. Change the point of view. Rewrite the scene from the boss's perspective. How does he see Walter? Perhaps the boss pities him. Or perhaps he resents Walter's intellect and enjoys watching him suffer. By switching perspectives, you explore the relativity of conflict. No character is purely villain or victim. Lesson: point of view alters not just empathy, but the entire moral landscape of a scene. Exercise C. Change the location. Transplant the same conflict into a new setting. Instead of a car wash, imagine Walter in a bank office forced to mop floors after hours, or in a school cafeteria scrubbing tables while students laugh. Lesson: the setting is symbolic. Wherever you place the humiliation, it must echo the character's core flaw and theme. Screenwriting takeaways. From this single scene, we can extract several professional principles. 1. Make the mundane dramatic. The everyday world hides the seeds of conflict. Washing cars becomes humiliation, which becomes the engine of transformation. 2. Layer your conflict. External, social, and internal conflicts must overlap to create density. 2. Layer your conflict. External, social, and internal conflicts must overlap to create density. 3. Use dialogue sparingly. Power often comes from what remains unsaid. A single line can carry enormous weight if the subtext is clear. 4. Exploit subtext relentlessly. Every scene must mean more than it shows. The real story happens beneath the surface. 5. Anchor the series' DNA in the pilot. Show the core theme of your series in your very first episode. Breaking Bad is about humiliation, pride, and transformation, all visible in one simple car wash scene. Conclusion. The brilliance of Breaking Bad lies not only in its overarching narrative but in its mastery of the scene. By deconstructing one short sequence, we've uncovered lessons about conflict, subtext, and structure that apply to all serialized storytelling. Your task as a writer is not only to admire but to practice. Take this scene and rewrite it. Change the genre, point of view, or location. In doing so, you'll develop the muscle memory to create powerful scenes of your own. Remember, a great television series is not built on explosions, cliffhangers, or plot twists. It is built one scene at a time. Scenes that hum with subtext, bleed with conflict, and whisper more than they scream. That brings us to the end of our first session. We've seen how a powerful premise can hook the audience, set the stage for global stakes, and open the door for long-form storytelling. If you enjoyed this lesson, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next episodes. In our next lesson, we'll dive deeper into character, development, and dramatic structure, the heart of every great screenplay.